And we're live. What's going on, everybody? I am so excited to talk about this. If you are watching this on a replay, then I'm going to stall for a few minutes just to give some people an opportunity to receive the email notification and be able to jump in so we can talk about the All-Star game. So I have not had much of an opportunity to stream in, probably a month or two. So I apologize for that. I do enjoy, of course, talking Sorare, talking baseball, playing Sorare baseball. So when John reached out and gave me this unique opportunity, I was thrilled about it. And what I did say to John is, to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. So I'm excited to jump in. As much as I hate to admit, I do not know who the other people are except for Hunter because I've been on Hunter's show multiple times. But I don't know who these other guys are. I'm sure they're great. I'm sure they make fantastic content. It is what it is. So anyway, hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you're having a great season. I know my season personally has been a little up and down. I've had some great moments. I have a decent amount of podiums, couple first place slots, and a lot of like top 50, top 25. It's a little tricky as we're trying to navigate. I feel like the missions, there's just a lot going on, right? We've got multi-entry into champ. We've got multi-entry into All-Star. We've got the dailies. I actually really love the dailies. Daily swing is my favorite contest. I really wish that the daily swing was gated for in-season rewards and gave the rewards of daily derby, because daily swing is my favorite. I think they could really be creative with it, and also it does a lot of fun things in regards to rewarding large galleries, rewarding people who have bought in season, which I really feel like we haven't seen enough of this year. And I know that most people who have been around for a long time don't want to deal with the gating, but it's only going to become more prevalent. That is the reality of it. If we want Sorare to survive, they need to do more gating. They need to do more in season to be able to keep cash flow rolling. So anyway, I know we've got missions going on right now, and now we're about to have the arena kick in. So things are interesting. I am not a person who tends to be very lucky. I earn most of my luck, but so the arena games and the crafting and the promos have not been great for me. I shouldn't say the arena games haven't been, but it's more a matter of winning essence and crafting with essence. I tend to get a lot of roster collection boosts with my crafting. I don't tend to get very usable players, unfortunately. I know some of you out there are extremely lucky, and you'll do. I saw some gentleman did the promo this weekend, bought 6 cards on instant buy, 6 floor cards, and for less than $40, he got a Judge and an Ohtani rare. So I am not that person. I bought some. And I ended up buying way too many. The best card I got was a Schwarber. The next best was a Wilmer Abreu, and then a bunch of T4, T5 guys. So it kind of just is what it is. I'm not that guy with the luck. So anyway, I stalled enough. I stalled for 4 minutes. So what we're going to do is I want to talk about this All-Star promo. Like I said, I was really excited when John reached out to me about this. I contemplated about this far too much. I looked at too many old box scores. I have to admit, I'm a little surprised by some of these lineups. Not mine, and we'll get to mine last. Let's see who we're going to jump into first. So we're going to jump into Mike. Okay, so I don't know Mike. He looks like he enjoys hoodies. His lineup is interesting. So let's break this down first. He's got Ronald Acuna in the home run derby tonight. Now, the home run derby is going to be our tiebreaker. So for the most part, we probably won't need it. But the fact that he's got Ronald Acuna, who is not going to be performing in the All-Star home run derby, or as John likes to refer to it, the HRD. I'm a little disappointed in Mike already. So he's got Crochet. I don't know if Crochet's pitching. So I would typically rely on the gallery here to kind of fill me in, but I thought Crochet was going to pass on the game. So hopefully he doesn't. I want to see Crochet pitch. So he's got Crochet, he's got Adam. The idea with Adam, I'm sure, is the fact that there's a really high likelihood that he's going to pitch. If you go with Diaz or Hader or even Suarez, there's a chance your guy never gets in the game. Vladimir's had a fantastic season. I like that. I really like the Vladimir pick. I was tempted to go him as well. He's got Marte in there. I'm a little surprised Marte is going to play. I don't expect him to play a ton just because he tends to be one of those guys who, he gets a hangnail. He's got to sit for 2 days. It's just he's got a headache. He's out for a week. He's one of those guys. Acuna, of course, has been dealing with a little bit of an injury bug, which is why he's not going to be playing in the home run derby. So Mike is very bold by throwing him in there. I will say, I think if this game wasn't in Atlanta, we wouldn't see Ronald Acuna in this game. I think he would pass on it, which is very disappointing that we've seen so many players pass in the game this year. But I do think that Ronald Acuna would pass on this game if he could. It's in Atlanta. He's the only Brave that got elected a starter. Shame on Braves fans. Shame. I feel like it's Game of Thrones, right? Shame on Braves fans for not really coming to bat for their guys, for Austin Riley, who wouldn't be able to play anyway, for Matt Olson, for Sean Murphy. Shame on you guys. I don't think we're going to see Ronald Acuna for very long. He may lead off the game. He may not get – he's definitely not going to get more than 2 at-bats. May only get 1. So we'll see how this plays out. Cal Raleigh, I think all these lineups are probably going to have Cal Raleigh in them. And James Wood, love the thought process there. So what's interesting with Mike's lineup is he does have Vladdy, Marte, and Acuna, and Raleigh. So all 4 of those guys are going to be starters. And then he's going to have Wood in the second half of the game coming off the bench. We don't know how they're going to use Wood. I would expect that Wood's going to come in at some point for Tucker. I don't think he's going to be a pinch hitter kind of guy. Typically, there's just a few guys who end up just pinch hitting. So we'll see how that goes. Now, and I'll get into this in a little bit, but anyway, good luck, Mike. Obviously, there's some you've got your own lane on a few of these guys, but also you've taken some big risk here. Who's next? All right, Nate Proch. I hope I'm saying that right. Nate is a Red Sox fan. I guess he's from Boston. Hey, Nate, I apologize. I don't know much about your content, but I'm going to break down your roster right here. So I think Nate may have a roster nearest to my roster. So we'll see how this plays out. He's got Skeens opening. I have Skeens opening. He has Hader closing. I had Hader closing, and I'll explain why I don't have him closing anymore. Ohtani in the corner infield spot. Raleigh for a second time in the middle infield. He's got the hometown guy in Acuna as well. PCA, really love PCA in this game. I'll explain why I didn't go with PCA when we get to my lineup. Freddie Freeman, of course, the Freddie Freeman Revenge Tour is going to continue. We'll see where he hits in the lineup. The tricky thing here is that he's starting. Dave Roberts is the manager. I don't think we're going to see very much of Freddie Freeman. 2 at-bats, I think. Here's why I wouldn't touch Freddie. Although I do love the Freddie revenge angle. If he ends up hitting early, he's going to have to face – let's assume Crochet is pitching because obviously I wasn't able to check that right now. But it's likely going to go Scooble Crochet, which means that Freddie Freeman's going to face one of those lefties. So there's an at-bat. Freeman also has not looked very good lately. So I get that you got the revenge tour going on, and I think that's great. But you've got Freddie Freeman, and right behind Freddie is the other hometown guy in Matt Olson. And right behind Matt Olson is Pete Alonso. So unless Roberts decides to use Alonso at DH right away, or even Olson, and get Ohtani out of there, I don't think we're going to see Freddie for long. We'll probably see most starters you typically see for at least 2 at-bats. So we'll see how that plays out. If the AL pitching is exceptional, that would mean that we'll probably see Freddie somewhere in the 4th inning, and then that would be it. And then we'll see Olson. So we'll have to see how that plays out. He did pick O'Neal Cruz. I know O'Neal Cruz is a little banged up right now, so I wasn't sure if he was going to pull out of this or not. But we'll see how it plays out. So good luck, Nate. Good luck, Nate, going into the home run derby with O'Neal Cruz and the All-Star game. All right, let's move on to Eric Anderberg. Eric, I believe, has been rolling out content forever, since like the first year of Sorare MLB. So props to you, Eric, for grinding. Let's break down Eric's lineup here. Wow, Eric's lineup is really interesting. And let me explain why. Let me also explain that I don't love it. Now, he's got Scooble and he's got Skeens, and that's fantastic. Now, back in the day, when you would watch All-Star games, typically the starter would go three innings, or at least through the lineup once. That no longer happens. Everybody just comes in and throws 1 inning. So by him having Scooble and Skeens, let's assume they don't give up any hits. He's going to get his 3 points for the innings pitched. He's going to get, let's say, 2 strikeouts. So there's 4. There's 7 points for Scooble and Skeens. They're likely not to give up any runs, which means that once he gets his 7 points, he's done. Now, Eric may have looked at that and said, hey, I'll take my role at 7 points versus getting a hitter that's only going to get 2 at-bats. And that's not a terrible strategy. It's especially with only 5 managers. But it's a very safe strategy. He's got Munoz in there. I love that. I think the likelihood Munoz gets in the game is very good. He's probably not going to close, but if the AL is winning, and the AL does win most of the time, he's going to get a hold. That's great strategy. He's got Suarez, Witt, and Schwarber, all 3 of which are going to come off the bench. Let's see. So Suarez is going to come in for Machado. Witt's going to come in for Wilson. Schwarber will probably come in for Ohtani, but I talked about that first base issue that we're going to see. So we'll see how that plays out for Schwarber. PCA, of course, is going to start, and Eric does have Big Dumper in the home run derby. So the interesting thing for Eric here is he's going to jump up quick with his 2 pitchers and with his 2 starters with Skeens and Scooble, and he's only going to have PCA in the starting lineup. And then the second half of the game, he's going to have Suarez, who has been on fire, Witt, and Schwarber in the second half of the game, with probably seeing Munoz, unless somehow the NL is able to get a huge lead. But I think we still see Munoz in there. All right, so I do like the fact that Eric is thinking out of the box. If it works out for him, you talk about it and go, hey, this guy's thinking out of the box. Love that. If it doesn't, then you say, oh, man, this guy's trying to be too cute. He's overthinking it. Didn't work out. So we'll see how that plays out. For some reason, I want to say Eric won. They had a contest earlier in the year, like a rivals contest. I want to say he won that. Anyway, I need fact checkers. Okay, who's this? Hunter? All right, it's my guy Hunter. Love Hunter. So Hunter, let me tell you why you're not going to win. Okay, so goes O'Neal Cruz in the home run derby. We'll see how that plays out. Goes with Skeens. Can't fault that. I'll explain my lineup in a second. Goes with Suarez. We'll probably see Suarez because he's essentially the NL's version of Acuna. I'm sorry, of Munoz. He's got Freeman in there. I've already explained Freeman. My thoughts on Freeman. Hunter Goodman, who's had a nice season. Goodman is going to come and replace Will Smith. I think that's actually a nice play because I could see Hunter Goodman getting 3 at-bats. There's also probably a part of Hunter that had to pick Hunter. Little Hunter on Hunter connection there. But I could see a world where Dave Roberts protects his guys and only lets them get 2 at-bats. And then Hunter Goodman ends up coming in for Will Smith. He's the only catcher after that. I don't know why they're only carrying 2 catchers, but he is the only catcher after that. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But I do think Hunter Goodman could get 3 at-bats. Kyle Tucker, of course, a lot to love about Kyle Tucker in there. He's starting. Riley Green is starting. I like that a lot. And then he's got Acuna in there. And like I said, Acuna might only get 1 at-bat. Definitely not more than 2. I'm sure that the Braves have said, hey, we kind of keep it to a minimum if you can. He's dealing. I think he's nursing a lower back injury. So anyway, Hunter, that's I don't hate your lineup. I don't love it. But I think it's really interesting. The one thing I will say about these 4 lineups is I think they've all got a different lane. Everybody kind of took a different angle on things. And I think that's really interesting to see the strategy. So with that being said, let's get to my lineup and we'll look at my lane. I believe this is my lineup. Nope. We just went back to Hunter. Okay. Bear with me. Here we go. Here's your winning lineup. So I picked Big Dumper in the home run derby because I don't feel like he has to swing very hard to get the ball out. And the way he's swinging, it's just the guy. He's having a magical season. It's so impressive. And he's a catcher. It's wild. So I picked Skeens to start. I think Skeens will get. I think the AL lineup is a little soft. Granted, he's only going to face probably the first 3 or 4 guys. But having guys like Gleyber Torres and Javi Baez in a starting all-star lineup is pretty soft. The play that I almost went with here was trying to figure out who the starting pitcher would be that they would use like third. Because at that point, that's the guy who's likely going to be in line for a win or in line for a hold. So you're going to get those extra points. I ended up not going that route. I went with Skeens. I went with Diaz because although the AL does typically win, I think the AL's lineup is kind of soft because they just had so many guys bail on the game that you have a bunch of second and third tier, like good players. I know I've been pretty animate about it on X, that this is the all mid game. The starters are solid, but once you get through the starters, a bunch of the rest of the guys, they're guys you wouldn't even play in your regular number 1 champion lineup. So I think the NL is I think the NL had less people bail, and let's face it, the NL is just a lot better than the AL right now. So not saying that there's that much more superstar talent, but I think that the NL is going to win tonight. And if they win tonight, they're going to bring in Diaz. And if they bring in Diaz, I get the save. That's going to be a huge boost. I said tonight, I meant tomorrow. But I think it's going to be a huge boost. So, and I believe I'm the only one who picked Diaz. I did roll the dice. I know we saw Adam. I know we saw Suarez. And we saw Hader. And we saw Munoz. So all of us have different closers. Or relief pitchers, so to speak. But I really feel like Diaz, if the NL wins that game, that's going to be a huge boost for me. Ohtani, of course, I went with Ohtani. Now, the one thing I've noticed is Ohtani typically only gets 2 at-bats. But in some of those all-star games, he also had to pitch. He's not going to pitch in this all-star game, so I'm hopeful that he'll get 3 at-bats. I went with the Big Dumper in the middle infield spot because he's just a stud. And, of course, I went with Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge doesn't need to do a lot to be able to get a ball out. He's obviously going to face Skeens, so we're going to see power on power. And the next go-around, who knows who we'll see. but I think Judge, Otani, one of those guys, and Big Dumper, I'm going go big or go home kind of thing with those three guys who are starting. And then I switched it up. I really wanted to go PCA because I feel like this could be an opportunity for PCA to kind of have his coming out party. But the second half of the game, when De La Cruz comes in for Lindor and Witt comes in for Wilson, Wilson is nursing an injury. So I don't know that Wilson's going to get more than one at-bat, definitely not more than two at-bats. And Bobby Witt is a guy who should be in the starting lineup. He's going to get an opportunity to get two, maybe three at-bats. I love Bobby Witt. I think De La Cruz and Bobby Witt, they're kind of that same mold, power and speed. So if they get on, there's a good chance they're going to steal a base. They're going to want to showcase that. And I think the second half of the game, those two guys are really going to take over. So that's my lineup. And that's the reasoning. So when I put my lineup together, it's going to be extremely similar for my I'm going to have a little bit of a different lineup because I don't have one of these all-star cards. If something changes in the near future, like I get a Diaz, then I could definitely put together a lineup like that for my champion or my daily. But for the most part, I just expect this to be it's going to look pretty close to this, but it's not going to be spot on. So anyway, guys, best of luck with your lineups. I just kind of wanted to break down to all the creators that were able to jump in here and put these teams together. Best of luck. Congratulations. I hope your audiences are fired up and they're rooting for you. I'm sure some of you guys have some very loyal audiences. At the end of the day, I feel like my team is pretty chalk. So we'll have to see how that plays out. You guys definitely, if you're a creator, you put a lineup together that is going to give you a lane. And I think there's something to be said for that. I went with my studs, just like I typically do in my regular lineups. And it's worked for me this long. So hope you guys hope you guys enjoy the home run derby tonight. Big Dumper, that's my guy. And I know Buxton's not going to perform. I think Buxton's going to play. I didn't have the cojones to put Buxton in my lineup, but I feel like Buxton's a guy who definitely could go yard in this All-Star game. So we'll see how that plays out. So for you guys who are putting lineups together, I think Buxton is a special guy who could come in after O'Hearn and get two or three at-bats and do a lot with a little. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. Hope you guys have a great All-Star break. Don't forget you're putting your lineups in on Friday. Don't forget to put your All-Star lineups in. And hope everybody has a fantastic All-Star break. See ya.